we're here to talk a little bit about how we can leverage brand consistent and performant web experiences with the integration between Magnolia and Canto's digital asset management system, Cumulus. I'm Leslie Weller. I'm the Director of Marketing at Canto. And together also with me, I have our Senior Key Accounts account executive, Freddie Hine. You can wave back there. So we're both representing Canto today. If we think about the world today and the way that the world is evolving, it's really evolved significantly in the last few years. Consumers are engaging with brands in a number of different ways and from an increasingly complex different range of devices. Customers are more quickly finding out new trends and ideas through unique and really unimaginable ways. We are the ones in control as consumers that decide how and when we engage with different brands. And we expect these consistent and relevant real-time experiences across whatever channel there are, such as like your websites, different apps, social networks, and even on internet-connected appliances as we begin to step into the era of the Internet of Things. And what happens is once you factor in different languages and regions, the challenge of delivering relevant content to all of these different audiences with consistency and with accuracy becomes kind of a daunting task. And since attention spans are shorter and shorter these days, it's more important and yet increasingly difficult to capture and maintain the attention of all of the online consumers. So with all these forces at work, what I'd like to do today is talk with you a little bit about why digital asset management is increasingly important to your business and to your clients' businesses, and how digital asset management, Cumulus, together with Magnolia, work to overcome some very common challenges that we're facing. And these common challenges are being able to deliver relevant content quickly. Another challenge is being able to have fast and efficient workflows, being able to really protect your digital assets, and allowing your business users to have a secure, self-service way to gain access to the correct brand assets that you have, and overcoming the challenge of making sure that we're always delivering consistent and branding as well as messaging. I'm going to make sure I show you a few examples, and then if we have a few minutes, maybe open it up for some Q&A. I think it's important to kind of talk about to lay the foundation, talk about what digital asset management is and why it's important. To lay the little bit of a groundwork, we'll go ahead and define it. So we'll define what a digital asset is first. And why am I talking about this? So a digital asset is a file that has intrinsic value to the brand, to the company. And every single type of digital asset, of course, is a file, but not every file is necessarily considered a digital asset. So we see up here, of course, this image. This is of our Canto offices. This is the Rialto building on 116 New Montgomery. This is a corporate brand image. This is where our offices are. However, this Word document on my computer, though it's a file, is not an asset. So it has some value, and we spend time and effort to create assets, and they're worth something to our business. And although it's not necessarily a new technology or even a new concept, digital asset management, or DAM, is experiencing a bit of a rebirth and increased attention in the market today because there is such an explosion of visual content, and consumers are hungry. They have an insatiable thirst for visual media, different images, and video content. And we're really in the midst of a digital transformation. So when companies spend this time, effort, energy, resources to create and produce really great visual content, they want to be able to get as much reuse out of that investment as possible. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is that maybe you produce something, file it away somewhere, and then a little while down the road, when you need it, the search begins. And thus ensues somewhat of a digital treasure hunt. So you start searching across different networks, you check the CMS, you check your online file shares, your Dropboxes of the world, maybe you look through a bunch of emails, finding some attachments to really get the right version or the right iteration of a certain brand asset that you need. In fact, there's a research firm, IDC, they did a study that said that on average, employees spend 18 minutes just trying to find each document, which wastes up to $18,000 per year per employee. So, of course, all of that time and money could be spent better elsewhere. And I thought it would be nice to draw an analogy. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to kind of talk about what my digital life was like, say, maybe sort of 10 years ago. And I'm sure this is probably similar to what a lot of your lives were like as well. You know, at the core of it, back then, I had my cell phone. I think it might have been a flip phone, but this one was pretty nice too. It was pretty sweet. I could take it with me everywhere, you know, make my calls, do some texting. Kind of had a camera, but I didn't really use the camera because the camera was pretty crappy. But it was great, you know, I had my phone. But I do like taking pictures, and I like taking pretty good pictures, so I found this awesome camera. This is, again, I had this like maybe 10 years ago, 5.1 megapixels. It's pretty awesome, it still works. Take a picture, say cheese. And it's a pretty cool camera because it took really good pictures, far better than my cell phone, and I could really take it with me everywhere. And I just slip it in my pocket, you know, it was really quite convenient, just kind of wrap it up, so this is its own case, you know, I figured, you know. So that's kind of cool, I had my phone and I had my camera. But then sometimes I would travel a lot and just find myself waiting around, so I thought it'd be kind of nice to listen to some tunes, so anyone remember one of these? iPod. So I had an iPod, which I loved, you know, I'd plug in and I could just zone out and listen to my music. So that was kind of cool to have. Let's see. Oh, and I like to stay really organized. And I wanted to do it digitally, so of course I got myself a Palm Pilot. Everyone have Palm Pilot to keep their calendars up to date and list of contacts, because a lot of times the phones back then only limited you to like 99 contacts or something, and then what? So keep my contacts, a few apps, and mostly my calendar in my Palm Pilot. What else did I have? That was pretty much it. On an occasional basis, I might break out my GPS device to tell me where to go. And that was kind of cool, you know, it could like show me how to get places. Half the time I didn't really know how to use it, but all of these things, I thought at the time, were actually kind of awesome. Think of all the things you can do. One-handed. It's not bad. It's kind of productive, right? And so I liken this to life before digital asset management. We're able to do a lot with our CMS platforms and keeping all of our digital assets in there, making sure that we have the right ones and accessing them, and all the web developers and the web teams, they're able to do a lot with their assets in their CMS system. And the sales team, they've got their SharePoint portal or their shared Dropbox account or whatever, so they're doing a lot with their digital assets as well. Collaborating with agencies and freelancers, you've got some kind of project management share system going on. Definitely efficient and working for you. Email, of course, email's a standby. That's always good for managing assets. We all know that, right? And then, you know, you've got your, let's see what else you got. Maybe a video player or whatever. So there's a lot of really great tools out there that still help us to get our work done and to do it relatively efficiently and, you know, pretty compact. But then that really represents life before DAM. Right? Life before DAM, and then of course we all know life with DAM. With digital asset management, you're really talking about the functionality of all of this, plus so much more. We can't only just call people and text them and find out how to get places and take really great pictures and listen to music and watch movies, but we can be internet connected, we can check all of our email, we can do a lot of different things. One of the cool things that, of course, we can do with today's smartphones is take selfies. So I'm going to take a Ellen DeGeneres selfie. Everyone wave. All right, sweet. So someone told me that we had a hashtag, so give me just a second. We're going to live tweet this, and you guys can jump on and retweet it. Okay.
MCON15.
What's that? Yeah, I wrote it down, so I think it's MCONF15, right? Okay, give me just a second. Let's attach a little photo. Yeah. Tweet it. All right. Cool. Let me advance this so you can see the hashtag there. And that's my Twitter handle if you can't find it through the hashtag. So it should be out. Life with DAM. So much better. So with that being said, let's talk about the challenges that we're facing and how digital asset management, together with Magnolia, can really work to overcome some of these challenges. The first challenge of being able to deliver relevant content quickly. Being able to suggest the right content at the right time is really important because nowadays, mass marketing is gone. I mean, this is not the days of Mad Men where brands are pushing out mass market. We know it's the age of personalization, and we expect technology to learn from our behaviors. When we visit Amazon, we expect it to suggest different topics and different products that we might be interested in. When we are browsing Netflix or Pandora, we expect some level of recommendations that are similar to our tastes. And although consumers, myself included, are expecting more and more personalized experiences, there is a certain level of invasiveness that we are willing to accept. So for example, this is perfectly acceptable when you're seeing a banner ad. Maybe you've been shopping for some eyeglasses, and later on an ad gets presented to you that there are some glasses that are now on sale. And I like to say that the creepy meter is okay for that. Now, what's probably not acceptable, and we want to keep in mind, that today's consumers really are only going to allow a certain level of creepy. So this, probably not okay. Hey, Mark, join our gambling addiction rehab group. Start your recovery now. That's probably not going to fly. So as digital professionals, we have to be susceptible. And I do believe that this creepy meter is ever changing. Even something like this, I talked to one of my counterparts in Germany, and they're still a little bit more conservative in terms of data privacy, and so that even would probably be down below the creepy meter, not okay for certain audiences. And so knowing which regions are open to different types of personalization is also very, very important. Oh yeah, I just wanted to throw this one in there as well. This I really just got yesterday or the day before. I was on a website, and because I work for Canto, this ad popped up, and I had to do like a triple take. I was like, I don't remember us building an ad that looked like that. I thought it was our own remarketing ad, and I thought I might have to fire myself. But turns out this was actually a third party's ad embedding my company's information. And for me, it just didn't work. Not only did it run off the page, but why am I being served up an ad about my company? It was just kind of odd. But anyway, so you have to just be careful with what exactly we're doing in terms of personalization. So the second challenge today is being able to address the fast pace of needing to push out content. Today's developers need really fast, really efficient workflows, and time is the ultimate killer. And when you think about what's actually happening out there, here's this super infographic showing all of the marketing technologies in 2015. And when today's technology options look like this to get work done with over 1,800 different vendors out there, there's a growing number of them that are needed to support your business, different analytics, different types of listening, different types of social, you name it. And what's happening is when you have to try to incorporate a lot of these, how do we best arm our people to address these increasing demands that we're seeing? One of the really great ways that we do it, of course, with Magnolia, is that everyday marketers are able to make real-time updates, make web changes without having to bribe the web developers and without having to necessarily call in those favors. So being able to empower marketers and web content creators to make those changes by themselves is a huge time saver, because we know that digital marketing teams are very busy and brands really want to have quick access to their brand assets so that they can minimize any redundancy and also minimize errors. So I'll show you quickly how we do this with digital asset management and content management from Magnolia, and making sure that all of your brand assets are quickly accessible from your fingertips. And so we see here one of the apps that we have integrated is, of course, our Cumulus Assets app. So you'll see there, of course, there are assets that live within Magnolia, but then there are also Cumulus Assets, which is basically a window into your Cumulus digital asset management system. And one of the great things about it is it helps you to avoid duplicates. Now, why is that important? Maybe it seems obvious. When you have duplicate files, not only do you have additional storage costs because you're having your assets in multiple locations, but also it slows down your productivity, because when you have an asset that's in your online, in your CMS, and it's in your Dropbox, and it's on some other location, inevitably there's a human process involved in determining which one of these is the correct one. Are they all the same? And you're doing this evaluation, and even just that small process, if they all happen to be the same and you get lucky, okay, we'll just go with this one, that's great. You've still spent a little bit of extra time doing that human evaluation. Or the worst case is they're slightly different, slightly variations. Maybe the product box shot changed a little bit, or this is a different angle. And you spend time trying to determine what's the most correct brand asset you should be using. And all of that kind of kills productivity. And today, really, because marketing is becoming more agile and processes need to speed up, the last thing we want to do is kill any kind of productivity. So with this integration, you're able to go in while you're natively in Magnolia and do some browsing, searching, filtering, see previews, see some different data or metadata that's associated with your brand assets, and be able to pull up natively within there the updated current version. If someone that owns the product or owns the brand asset has just uploaded new photo shoot files and said that they're approved for use, they will instantly show up within your web CMS. Don't have to download and then re-upload or anything like that. So huge time saver. And just because I want to punctuate the point, of course we are avoiding duplicates. So, third challenge. How do you protect your digital assets today? There's two ways I wanted to discuss and why it's important in protecting your digital assets. And first is through accessibility, and the second is with regard to your copyright licenses and digital rights management. So first and foremost, do you know where all of your files are? Do we know where all of your images are, all your video files? Do you know where your latest and greatest brand logos are and other digital assets, digital artwork? Is it your designer that has everything under lock and key? Is it your agency who really is the master knowledge person that knows where everything's at? I'm sure many of you can think of a time where there was some very important piece of artwork or content that everyone was sitting around scratching their head saying, where is it? Where is it? Where is this file? I'd like to maybe have you even think of one right now. Maybe we can get someone to share if you can think of one. If not, that's fine. I can think of one story where a customer of ours was a museum. It was before they were a customer, actually, and they told us the story about how they had produced this really great map of Africa for an exhibit in the museum, and they had a digital person, a designer, create this awesome map, and they transposed it onto a wall for the exhibit, and they painted it, and it was just really cool, and it went with the expo. Months later, that exhibition was done, and they, had to get ready for the next one. They painted over the map on the wall, and then 3 years down the road, they had another Africa-based collection that they wanted to showcase, and they thought, let's get that awesome Africa map we had designed and created, and it cost them a lot of money to do it the first time. And so they started looking, and they checked the network drives and they couldn't find it, and then they were checking some online file shares and they couldn't find it, and everyone's emailing each other, where's that map, where's the map? And everyone's looking on their old, archived emails looking for attachments, and no one could find it. And it literally was almost a week later, and they're like, where's the map? No one has the actual source graphic file. It was on a wall and now it's painted over and we can't find the actual graphic file. Needless to say, they ended up having to recommission and rehire a new person to go and build them something similar. So obviously, just not a good situation you want to find yourself in. Is there anyone that can think of a time when their lost file tremendously impacted your ability to move forward on a web project? Has this ever happened to anyone? Yesterday? Would you care to share?
Literally, I was trying to find a source asset and for a deadline right before I shipped out for this conference, and I wound up staying up 2 extra hours digging through Subversion and email chains looking for a high-res tip file.
Thank you for sharing that. I didn't plant him, by the way. Thank you for sharing. And really, seriously, and lost files just kill productivity. And that's really not the only thing when it comes to protecting your digital assets. We also have to think about the obligations for using all of this visual content that consumers are demanding that brands and the companies produce. And so we have to ask ourselves, do our employees, do our staff, do they understand the legal obligations and ramifications of using all this visual content? Do they understand the law that these images are copyright protected oftentimes? So we can ask ourselves this very simple question: do you have rights to use this image? And for each question, for each asset, you can ask, well, did you take the picture? If you did, then of course it's your own image. You can use it however you like. But if you did not, you must obtain rights to use it. And I thought, just in the spirit of sharing and quick educational tidbit, fair use copyright laws actually hold you liable even if you use a file by accident. And this has also happened in real life, where people scrape copyrighted images from websites, and then someone illegally will post it up to a Creative Commons website, and then another person will grab it from that Creative Commons website thinking, oh, I'll just do my attribution and I'm covered, but it was never legally supposed to even be on that Creative Commons website. So even if in that case and you use it by accident, you're still held liable. Even if you get noticed to take something down off your site and you immediately take it down, you're still held liable. If the image is licensed to you web developers, that's not enough. The brand actually has to carry its own license. Even if you include backlinks to a source photographer, of course not in the case of Creative Commons, but in general, if you think, oh, I'll just source this and I'll cite this photographer and get away with it that way, that's not the case. Even if you have a non-commerce site, or if you never even put it on your server, you just embed the image, in all of those cases, you're actually still held liable for copyright infringement. And I thought I'd share one true story that happened to me just 1 week ago. Or I should say that I learned. It didn't happen to me, thankfully. But I learned just a week ago. I was on a flight from San Diego up here to San Francisco, to SFO. And I was sitting next to this very nice, she was an off-duty flight attendant. So she ended up telling me that she was a flight attendant. Very friendly and chatty and felt very comfortable on the plane. And she asked me what I do, and I told her that I had recently spoke at a conference about digital rights management. And what she told me, she said, oh, that is so important. I said, you're a flight attendant? Yes, okay. She's like, no, really, that's such an important topic. Because she went on to tell me that her sister owned this apparel company in San Diego, and for many years it was relatively successful. She grew it to be about a $7 million company, small business, and she was hit with a lawsuit for copyright infringement for an image of these Mustang horses. So I'll come over here. So it had, I guess, some horses on some shirts that she did, and there was a person that was claiming copyrights for that particular image, and it was a multi-brand lawsuit. So it was not only her sister's small boutique $7 million company, but also the Gap, Old Navy, and there was one other. Anyway, so these big brands were being sued also for using this Mustang image on clothing and her sister's company, and it was $1 million lawsuit that she ended up having to pay out, which actually ultimately ended her sister's business, because a company of that size really couldn't support that kind of a legal financial implication. So what's great is that with digital asset management, the licensing data gets entered and it stays together with that file even while it's being processed. So you upload it once upon either a photo shoot that's being taken, or you purchase or lease an image from somebody, or a video. And that data actually stays together with the image while it's being processed. You can even write the metadata back into the file, and that provides a literal single source of truth for that asset and can govern what even is available within the Magnolia system. So you can set up rules to say that only assets that have passed through some kind of legal check and legal approval workflow can even be accessed and used on your website, keeping your company in compliance and protected. So the fourth challenge that we're seeing is letting business users have some kind of secure and self-service access to digital assets. What I've found, and maybe some of you have found this as well, is that the best designers out there are incredibly organized. I mean, they are awesome. They know where all of their at least the best ones I've worked with, I don't know, maybe you have bad designer experiences, but all of mine have been really awesome, and they know exactly where to find any file that anyone ever needs. And so that's really awesome if your designer will live and die at your company, but what happens when they eventually change jobs? All of that intricate knowledge really goes with them. And not only if they're, let's say, sick or on holiday, they end up becoming the only person that acts as like some sort of bottleneck or a gatekeeper of everything, and they end up being bombarded constantly by sales and by marketing asking for the latest files or a slightly different version of a file, and if they can get the logo just tweaked a little bit like that, and do they have an archived copy of last season's campaign material? And of course they do, but guess what happens? That then affects their productivity as well to produce more content, and that's what they're actually getting paid for. So another really true story that one of our customers had is just exactly this. It's the brand Simple Human. Their designer was having the same problem constantly, getting inquiries from sales, do you have this file? Can I get the latest this? And so was unable to be as productive as she wanted to be. Once implementing Cumulus and having a digital asset management system, then they have a nice easy access portal. Sales, marketing, partners, freelancers, contractors, they all have a place to go to get the assets, and it's the exact same asset that you're pulling into your CMS, into Magnolia. So you think of this single location where your salespeople are self-serving and executives, and all of a sudden no one's interrupting the designers anymore. They're just sitting there getting work done and producing more content. And the CMS is pulling from that exact same system. So you can imagine tremendous productivity, time savings. That's my other true story. So fifth challenge that we see, of course, very often in the marketplace is around consistent branding and messaging. And if we go back to the Magnolia example, hang on. We'll go back to the other slide in just a minute. We can see here's like a sample web page with a very basic image. And let's say we want to now change it out with a Cumulus asset. We're able to do that simply by, let me go back, yep. Go here. Are we looking at it's so tiny I can't see it. Okay, yeah, this is a basic image. So go into editing the page, and you see there's a very basic image, and want to navigate to a central asset that's stored in your Cumulus DAM system. So we check the button. I guess I can't really see it because it's.
That was on the last screen.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can hardly see that. And I'm wearing my glasses. That's awesome. Okay, sorry. So we can pull an image from the Magnolia asset or a Cumulus asset. So check that radio button, and then you can go ahead and navigate via search, via browsing, via keyword search for the asset you want, pulling it directly from that repository, get a nice preview, and then save up your changes, and then just pull it right into your web page. The Cumulus Assets app is similar to other apps that extend Magnolia. The fields that you see are configurable, so you can pull in different types of metadata that you need to see from Cumulus, depending on what your digital workflows dictate. And I guess one thing that's really great is that I kind of mentioned this already, is just have the ability to have that real-time access to the latest and greatest files. You're not having to source and go knock on someone's door and ping them and Skype them and instant message and say, where's the? It's just, you just go find it, look for it, and there it is. So what I wanted to show you is the beauty of having Cumulus and DAM at the center. Again, remember, life with digital asset management, life without. So you have all your assets centrally stored in one location, and you can access them from your Magnolia. And this is just a sample. This isn't our only integrations, but I thought this kind of gives you a good representation. Your Adobe Creative folks, they can actually be pulling and working from those assets natively within their Adobe tools, and then writing them back to Cumulus. You might have like some kind of project management system or some kind of sales portal or ERP system that are all talking to and integrating with your DAM platform. Okay, so with that being said, I thought I'd show you just a quick little, what am I doing on time? A quick little Cumulus tour. I don't want to go too far in depth, but I thought it'd be nice just to show you a quick intro to kind of what Cumulus is all about, what it looks like. This here you see is the dashboard of Cumulus. Across the top, you can do some very basic, some really nice functions like being able to upload new files. You can have a basket that works kind of like a shopping cart where you can find different digital assets, put them in your basket, and then either download them or share them with a third party or share them internally. Notifications, you can see what's happening while you're working in the tool. You can see across the top, browse, so you can just browse through a hierarchy tree, and of course search, you can enter in some search categories, and then you can just quickly see how it's very visual, it's very user-friendly, and people really enjoy working in it. When you drill into a specific file itself, this is kind of the key to good digital asset management, and that's all about metadata. And here we see different metadata associated with this particular image. See, there's some general information, some of the characteristics. In this particular case, there's some kind of workflow, and it's in this not yet approved stage. Oh, it says, yeah, approval not yet confirmed. And if we scroll down, this is still that same image, this is metadata. We can see where we can store licensing information that I was talking about. The source where it was from, the copyright notices, if there's any expiration date, maybe you purchase some licensing rights that only last a few years, you can set that expiration date there, and even what's great is that you can set it up in such a way that once that expiration date hits, that there's some default backup image that gets used on your website. And then you can also see an overview of its usage, which is great for some of the metrics of seeing which assets are being viewed the most, which ones are being most successful. And then if you see at the very bottom here, we see usage in your CMS system. So you can actually see which pages this particular image is being used, or video, or whichever type of brand asset you have. So a really great way to improve your analytics and be more, be able to create more personalized environments and more personalized user experiences. If you think about it, if you have different personas identified for your websites and you're targeting certain types of visual content for different personas, having the analytics behind it to see which ones are actually working can help you to define which types of imagery you should be using for other pages that are targeting those same types of personas. Real quick little tour still. I thought I'd just show you that within Cumulus you can do some nice ad hoc collaboration on different pieces of content. Here you see a little bit of content commenting markup toolbar over there. But I think because there are a few technical people in the room, I'm not going to go too deep on the technical nuts and bolts behind it, but just wanted to kind of share quickly that Cumulus is actually available in multiple different deployment flavors, if you will. So it is definitely available as an on-premise installed solution. It can be fully hosted in the cloud, or we also offer a hybrid model where you have some assets maybe in-house on-premise, and then take advantage of either Amazon S3. We have an Amazon S3 asset store or a Microsoft Azure asset store where you have some maybe work in progress, huge files on-premise, and then finished assets can be up in the cloud, which is nice for different companies' use cases. I don't think I'll go through this. I just kind of wanted to showcase how you can deliver images through multiple different ways. One of the ways is using Amazon CDN, the CloudFront technology. But really, it comes down to saving time and really getting the most out of your brand assets. It really comes down, at its core, to just saying goodbye to life without DAM. I mean, it works, right? We all know, like, we're busy, we're developers, we don't really want to think about digital asset management, and yeah, it's great, but da, 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 da. I mean, you can get a lot of things done, and it's not that terrible. This is life without digital asset management. And then this is life with digital asset management. So much better. Saves a lot of time, and you can do so much more with it than you can just with individual products together. So that's really all I had prepared. For more information, there is a webinar we did with Jan and some of our folks. It's recorded, it's up on YouTube. You could either just Google it, or I could show you real quick. There's a webinar, just type in Canto, Magnolia webinar, you'll probably find it. So feel free to watch that webinar for a little more information. There's on our website a little bit of information also about the integration, and we have a data sheet. Of course, myself or Freddie, we're here today to answer any questions. I'm happy to give anyone my business card. We can follow up later, or just email me. I'll show you my email in just a second. We can open it up for questions. I wanted to put my contact information up there, and that's all I had. Thank you.